Okay, this is section 10.3, page 743, areas of circles and sectors, geometry, right? And we're going to just remind ourselves that a circle is all the points that are equal distance in a plane from a given point. And what are some key parts of a circle that we deal with? Radius, circumference, diameter. Okay, so today we're going to move on from that, and we're going to talk about the area. So the first thing I would do is draw a circle, okay, with a center. The key component in finding the area of a circle is the radius. And I'm sure this is probably one of the most famous formulas there is. Area equals pi r squared, okay? The radius squared. It doesn't mean 2 times the radius. It means pi, the radius times itself. Okay, so if you look at page 743, it talks about what is the area of a circle of a putting green shown to the nearest foot. And they have a circle that I'm just going to put it over here. They have a circle, and how far is it? What is that distance right there in that picture? That is the diameter, and they say that's 20 feet, correct? Okay, so if we want to find the area of this putting green, we would take pi times what?
20 or 10.
Oh, yeah,
10 squared. Be careful, okay? So this is, now there are 2 types of answers. Sometimes they accept this as an answer, 100 pi. I've seen that on tests, 100 pi. But we're going to take 100 times 3.14. You don't need to multiply that out because it's times 100. You can move the decimal, right? 2 places to the right. So it's approximately 314 square feet, okay? Now, it depends on what I asked for on what you give your answer. You can go to the nearest tenth. I think in the book it goes to the nearest tenth. So let's put that to the nearest tenth. What is pi times 100, please? Tell me what that is to the nearest tenth.
It's 314.2.
0.2 feet squared. Okay. All right. Do you understand that? Okay, so let's say that I had a circle and its area equaled 95 centimeters squared. Okay? And the question is, how do I find the radius?
Divided by.
Okay, I like to use the formula. So I like to put 95 equals pi r squared. Correct? Yeah. Because I want you to put this into your calculator. It is 95 divided by pi, which I heard you guys say, but it is also the square root of that. Okay? Now, I prefer that you do it on your calculator like this. You do the square root button, which is second something, right? Second whatever. Second square root button, and then you have a parentheses, 95 divided by pi, parentheses, equals. And tell me what that is to the nearest tenth.
Is that 95 times pi?
No, it's 95 divided by pi, because you have to divide by pi.
5.5
It's 5.5 what?
centimeters.
Centimeters, okay? So you can do the reverse. Do we understand that?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, so the next thing we're going to talk about is what happens if we only have a piece of it? Piece of the pie is what they say. So we have 2, this would be called a central angle, right? But I want to know the area of this piece. This is called a sector of the circle. Okay? Now I realize it has a central angle which is x degrees. All right? Okay? So does anybody have an idea how we would do this?
On the area?
Yeah, if I knew the degrees, I just wanted the area of this piece. How would I find that?
X equals pi r squared?
No. The pi r squared would be the whole thing. Do I want the whole thing? No. Okay, the area of a sector, okay, is equal to the degrees, x degrees, divided by 360. Why? Okay, 360 is the whole thing. So we're finding how much of the circle we have. And then we take that times pi r squared. Do you understand it? Does it make sense? Because this will give us a fraction, won't it? Okay, let me give you a for instance. Okay, let's say that in this case, I'm going to raise, but this was 45 degrees. So I'm going to raise that, I'm going to put 45 degrees. Okay, so we want to know how much of the circle we have. 45 over 360 times pi r, and let's say that the radius was 3 inches. Okay, so times 3 squared. Does everybody see where I got all that? Now, might I remind you of something, that you do not really want these huge numbers right here. So I can simplify this fraction, okay? 45 goes into 360 how many times?
45 times.
40, how many times?
8.
8 times.
Oh, sorry, my bad.
Okay, times pi times 9, right? Okay, now oftentimes you might be able to cancel there, but I can't, can I? So what I would like you to do is take 1 divided by 8 on your parentheses, or use parentheses, times pi times 9. And you can do that in any order you want, but please keep the fraction in parentheses. And tell me what you get.
3.5.
How much?
3.5 centimeters squared. Or inches squared.
Okay, what was it again?
3.5
Okay, inches
inches
squared. Okay? That would be 1/8 of the total, wouldn't it? Okay? All right, let's try this one. All right, I'm going to give you an example here. This is example 2. You got this circle, correct? And let's say you got this particular sector. This is the center. You got a kind of a hole there. This is 148 degrees. That's 148 degrees. And the radius is 6 meters. 148 degrees, the radius is 6 meters. Okay? So I would take 148, correct? Over what? 360 times pi times what?
times 36.
Okay, now, can I cancel this 36 with that 360? I can. This is 1 and this is 10. So now you can plug into your calculator 148 in parentheses divided by 10, which is actually 14.8 times pi, right? And tell me what you get.
46.5.
46.5 what?
Meters.
Meters squared. I'm finding the area of the sector, correct?
I don't know.
Any questions? Did you not, who didn't get that?
I didn't get that.
Okay, you want to try it again? 148 in parentheses divided by 10. Yep.
Do you have to simplify it down?
No, you don't. You can just plug it in your calculator as 148 divided by 360 as long as you put it in parentheses. Yep, you can.
Couldn't it go down to?
Yes, you could simplify it more. Yep, yep, you can keep going.
Because that's what I did.
Okay, you still should get 46.5 degrees, or
I don't
46.5.
know what I just did. I did something completely wrong.
Okay.
But I got
All right, so I want to do a third example on this. I want to look at something different. Here's your circle. And this is 65 degrees, correct? This is 11 inches. I want you to find the area of this. Okay, so what do I need?
Find it and then
I want you-
subtract.
Okay, there's a couple different ways to do it. Okay, what do you suggest?
Find the piece and then subtract.
From the whole.
From the whole? Okay, that's a possibility. Yep.
Can you subtract 360 from 65 and then take that number, put it over 360?
I think that's quicker. I would take 360 minus 65, what Kagan said. So this is 5, and this is what? 15, make sure I get this, 295?
Yes.
295 degrees. So I'm going to take now 295 over 360, and just to prove that this would be times pi times 11 squared, right? Just to prove what Kagan said, I can do parentheses. Try this: 295 divided by 360 times pi, and I believe that's 121, isn't it? Times 121. And tell me to the nearest tenth what you get.
You get 311.5.
What's my label?
Inches squared.
Inches squared, and this is the area of a sector. So you can let the calculator do all the work for you if you want, okay? All right, your assignment for Friday, page 746, if one of you will write this on the board, numbers 8 through 25. Please do not erase the other assignment, 8 through 25. Please do not erase the other assignment, okay? All right? Yep. Okay.
We're working on this tomorrow.
Yep.